What's happening, everybody? I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. It is Saturday, and I hope you're having a heck of a weekend so far. This is big, and I'm gonna tell you a slightly different angle on this thing than may have been brought out. Aaron did a great video on this, right? And we knew this. We knew that this was coming. Jane Doe, one of the Jane Does, and it gets confusing because everybody becomes a Jane Doe, right? But in one of the Jane Doe suits, the important part of what we're talking about is discovery. Now, if you've ever been in trouble, right, what happens is discovery is literally their case against you, right? So they're going to hand you in total everything they have against you. But if they say that something is going to be open to discovery, what they mean is that they're going to sit down with attorneys and they're going to depose people and ask questions on the record. And what they're talking about, what is in question is the BS way that the Church of Scientology, the cult of Scientology, has successfully been able to duck out of lawsuits for the entire time they've been cooking, right? Basically, for the duration of this cult, they have been able to keep lawsuits out of court because there is a doctrine that talks about how everything is going to be handled in-house with arbitration from within the church. Well, because this air quotes church is as young as it is, anything that L. Ron Hubbard wrote is now basically considered spiritual doctrine. So if this man wrote as part of this religion that arbitration is how they will deal with anything that happens within the religion and it will not go to the courts, shy of murder or something that is going to rise to a level that they're going to step in because it is a violation of federal law and they're not going to allow it. But a great deal of anything else is going to be handled by their arbitration because this is religious doctrine. And no one, and I mean no one, has ever had a judge that said, prove it. Let's see where this is religious doctrine. Can you show me in Lafayette's hand, since he is the writer of all of your religious doctrine? And that's what they've said, yeah? If it came from the pen of L. Ron Hubbard, it was inspired or yada, yada, right? Okay, well, here's the punchline, people. This is where it gets funny. Up to this point, you've heard all this, right? Okay. Do you know that there are 4 Guinness Book of World Records for Lafayette Ron Hubbard as the most prolific writer in history? Now, he really wrote more than anyone else in history? Well, he told everybody he did. Now, this is really funny if you're a drug addict, right? Because you tell these ridiculous lies. Well, this guy told lie after lie after lie. And then when the cat died, they had to clean it up. They had to do everything they can to make these lies seem a little bit more reasonable. So if he wrote on a bottle of aspirin, hey man, this is L. Ron's, they copyrighted it. I'm not even being funny. If this guy put a pen to paper, they went and had it, a copywriter copyright it, thereby making 4 Guinness Book of World Records because this guy really has had more written things copyrighted than anyone else in history. You know the problem with this? The problem with this is he didn't write anything about arbitration, right? It didn't exist. It's not part of their religious doctrine. It's something that was written years later. How do we know this? Because the guy that wrote it left the Church of Scientology. Mike Rinder has come out and said, I wrote it. I wrote it. This isn't L. Ron Hubbard. This is an idea that I came up with and I wrote it. Okay. So everybody's been saying since the case came, all they're going to do is doctor something. They're going to write something up and say, this is what we had. That doesn't work. It doesn't work because these liars have already copyrighted everything the man ever wrote. So you're going to go into court and say, I got a matchbook from 1977 that we copyrighted because old L. Ron wrote on it. But for whatever reason, we decided not to copyright this one. It just doesn't hold water. Now, once again, they've been stepping all over their own stuff because they have kept these cases out of court. They're fantastic at it. They can keep a case out of court forever. Right? Forever. They'll drag it out for years and years and years. Guess what happens to every one of these cases? When this one ends up proving that there was no arbitration ever, that it was not doctrine, then every other case can go, why are we doing arbitration? Why are we even talking about it? in so-and-so versus so-and-so, they've already decided that, they ruled on this. This isn't doctrine. If it was, they would have had a copyright on that bad boy, because nothing didn't get copyrighted. And this, boys and girls, is an excellent lesson for why you don't tell lies. And then don't try to cover those lies up, because eventually the chickens are going to come home to roost, hoisted by their own petard. I love that expression. I have always loved that expression. Don't you love that expression? It's a good one. Yeah, it's exactly what happened. These people have been BSing for so long and running game for so long that they're out of timeouts, right? This really has the potential to unravel this thing. It really does. It has the potential to unravel this thing. It's going to be very interesting today as well. As many of you probably already know, the gentleman that does the auditing in front of the building out in Los Angeles is going to be taking a shot at, the little guy himself. The little guy himself is supposed to be out today, right? And he doesn't get spotted very often. I would imagine that they're going to be throwing subpoenas and and letters to appear at this guy, trying to serve summonses like footballs, right? Of course, he's got this group of people that kind of escort him like the Secret Service. It's got to be wicked embarrassing too when your Secret Servicemen are all 2 feet taller than you. You know what I mean? Like they can hide the guy though. You get 4 or 5 people into a group, he can blend right in the middle. It's going to be very interesting to see. I don't see him making an appearance if you really want to know the truth. This guy's got to be terrified. Honest to God, this has got to be. Can you imagine being him? You're sitting over an empire of what, 5 billion or whatever they say that the guys that they've been sitting on of all this tax-free money. But you know what? It is. It's just starting to unravel. And I'm telling you, people, the greatest weapon in this war is this puppy right here. Talk to everybody you know. Go, you know what's happening to that cult, don't you? Just start telling your friends. I promise you. You don't have to be a content creator to do this place some damage. You know, when you're sitting around having a conversation and the conversation stops and there's nothing to talk about and it just starts getting boring. Sandy. I don't believe you're real, Sandy. I don't believe you're real, Sandy. Sandy G, I don't believe you're real, Sandy G. Nobody feels the tiniest bit of LRH was deceased. True, died in 1986. And if he died in 1986, then anything that was not written by that cat can't be considered religious doctrine. You feel me? It can't be considered religious doctrine. There's a ton of documents that came out after him, but they would not be considered protected religious doctrine. You see, the protected religious doctrine part is the writings of L. Ron Hubbard. They're the basis of this religion. The guy's dead. What? How do you prove you're real? I don't know. Stick around. A never in here in Cape Town, South. Wow, how cool is that? I love that people chime in from all over the world. This is one of my favorite things that happens on the boat. I really do. It's from all over the world. This cult needs to be taken down. It is exciting stuff, people. This is exciting stuff. If you knew how many times this has come up, if you knew how many judges have had the exact same thing written and put across their desk, I promise you, pro forma, there's never been a case that the lawyers in question didn't go, hey, I'd like to get a look at this arbitration stuff. Huh? How the hell are we going to have arbitration that we can't look at? Well, that's religious doctrine. We will not be pulling that in, right? You're right. You're right. I think that there's probably a pretty good chance to this. The fake space Navy. I dig the uniform thing. I don't dig what they're doing, but I really kind of dig the whole uniform thing. And you got to admit that the guy at least played quick on his feet. If the entire world hates you and you got cash to burn, buy a big boat that used to haul around cattle and turn it into your little floating temple. I mean, the guy was, he was creative. And I don't know. I guess I would have had to have been in a room with that cat. I mean that. I'm not busting on anybody, but I don't see the charisma at all that people talk about. And very often that doesn't come across unless you're there. For real. I've been around a bunch of public speakers, big name public speakers that you guys would know. Because when you go around the country on the little tours, you end up hitting all of the same hotels at the same time. And I mean guys that make millions and millions of dollars as public speakers. And they don't come across. It's a very different thing when you're in person with them. Sometimes there are people that are so charismatic. I met Tony Robbins on a bunch of different occasions. And I remember talking to people before I went there and saying, not buying into any of the ether crap. I don't do that stuff, right? Not impressed with any of this. He's just the public speaker, right? That caught a little. And by the time I was 6 minutes in there going, good God, I can take over the world. This dude's absolutely unbelievable. You know, it's just one of those things that I don't know. But I watch him in the videos and it's puzzling. You know what I'm saying? It's puzzling. I still watch all of those people's videos. And you know what's really funny? If you unsubscribe, but you watch their videos, I mean, unsubscribing is like saying to somebody, hey, man, I wasn't impressed with what you just said. If you continue to watch the videos, you're paying them one way or the other, right? I mean, the videos are what gets you paid. And I still watch all of those people. I really do. And I unsubscribed. I unsubscribed for the purpose of doing just that, making a point. And a lot of other people were at the same time, but I think that those people still get a ton of views. However, we all want to know what they have to say, right? No, I didn't say you weren't real, Sandy. And you can let it go. What I said was, yeah, not real as in just, yeah, let it go, Sandy, please. Let it go. Send me an email. Sandy, slow your roll, chill out, enjoy the stream. Yeah, what Johnny said.
I have a chainsaw.
You do? All right. Well, I would hate to have to. Hey, Jean Marie, good to see you. Yeah, hang out, chat. Right? Let's see where it goes. Let's hang out and chat. But I do find it fascinating that this judge at this juncture, at this time, decided to go, no, let's see what's up. You understand that this is all a domino effect of everything else that's going on. As I was talking about in the last video, for a very long time, the tactics that this cult did scared the crap out of people. Nobody made videos like the ones that Aaron does, right? Nobody had the huevos to come out and do that because they were going to attack you. And they were going to attack you to the point that very often lives got destroyed, right? People unalive themselves. They did so many of the really, really ugly things, right? Really ugly things. So even the IRS caved, right? Judges caved, prosecutors caved. This is not new, right? This has been going on forever. One lawsuit after another gets tossed out because you got to deal with it within the church, right? That's part of the doctrine. Well, this is the first time that a judge has said, not buying it, bring it on in. And that's huge. That's epic. But it's a symptom. It's a sign of the times. It's what this is, right? It's what this is. I promise you people, you know what the hottest show going right now on Netflix is? It's about a cult. This is a fascinating subject for people that have nothing to do with it, right? But it angers people. And this was the subject that people didn't talk about because they were afraid of that place. And you know what? I don't think anybody's afraid of them anymore. I really don't. And if they are, it's certainly not what it used to be, right? There's a lot less. And I think this judge, after the Danny Masterson, case and what they saw, how all that went down, you got to sit through and watch all of this stuff. I think that the world is getting a real good snapshot of the cult of Scientology and exactly what they've done to people. And you know what, man? Really want to see it crumble. I really do. I'm going to look forward to it. And I think that this is going to be a good one. It is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a lawsuit that, and they've also settled two things recently out of court as fast as humanly possible. And these are things that don't happen, right? I mean, this is not what they do. But I'm telling you, the garden gnome has got to be living in hell. He's got to be living in hell. Now, when someone says Church of Scientology, people think human trafficking, right? It used to be kind of like a punchline. It was a meme. It was something like South Park, right? We could get a good laugh out of it. It's not funny anymore, right? And people are starting to realize that, Tom Cruise acting like a jackass and jumping on the couch is entertaining stuff, right? But the jokes about like Scientology eyes and all of that, well, you know what? It's not funny. And it's not funny because there's a way that somebody gets those eyes. And it's not particularly good stuff, right? And you want to trash your life in a cult, you know what? Knock yourself out. But if you have kids and raise them in that cult, then that's a real issue, right? A kid has no ability to decide that they want L. Ron Hubbard as their God. And that's pretty jacked, right? Especially if you say in the process of that, I'm not going to send them to school. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And at 12, maybe I'll try to talk them into signing away a 1 billion year contract because a 12-year-old should be inking that, right? I wouldn't want my 18-year-old signing a 2-year contract for a phone company, right? This is just, it's astounding stuff. But the more people talk about this and the more other people start yelling about it, and if you're yelling about it to your neighbors while you're standing in front of a building and hazing every single person walking in and telling them, hey, you're going into a cult, I wouldn't do that. Look, not my get down, not my get down. I'll go to a protest. I don't think I could sit there and just yell at people going in and out. That would be hard for me. That's not, I don't even like watching it. But I'm not at all bummed out that he's doing it. I don't think anybody else should be either. Yeah, so if it's snot, I wouldn't want my kid doing that either. Huge contracts for student loans. Trust and believe I don't want my kid doing that either. I agree with you, especially today, right? Is there any update on Danny going to his forever home? Yeah, Danny is on his way to his forever home on the next train smoking, right? It is just a matter of the California system. I will be really honest with you. In the feds, usually between the very end of November and the beginning of January, their transportation of inmates almost grinds to a halt because of the holiday season, because it requires a buttload of staff to move people from one place to another. And it's never scheduled because they don't want anybody posted up. They don't want people parked in front of the place like Vin Diesel, ready to hop out in there in a Dodge product and break them out. So they never let you know when you're going. If you get up in the morning and you walk out to the day room and you pick up your phone and your phone doesn't work, that's the day you're leaving, because they don't want you calling someone and saying, hey, guess what? They just said I'm out of here. They will turn your phone off the morning you're leaving. That's usually a dead giveaway, but he's gone. I promise you. It's just a matter. Everything has been taken care of. What they were waiting on was where these guns went to. And by the way, just for hoots and giggles, I have not done a show on this because I really want to do it with my lawyer friend, Zach, and I'm reaching out to him, and we're going to try to get this put together. But there are a bunch of federal laws that got broken in these guns, with these guns that had not been located, right? These guns that were MIA for the entire time that he was on trial. When Danny was first arrested, right? You get a form, especially if you're let out on bail. You get a form that says, you got firearms. Here's a list of them, right? We want them. As a person who is waiting to find out if you're a felon or not, you're not allowed to possess guns, right? Because you're in that in-between zone. So what you're allowed to do is one of a couple of things. One is you get rid of everything, and you have to do that through a federal firearms licensed dealer. You go and hand all the guns to him. He sells everything, gives you a pile of cash. Or he can hold on to the guns until the trial is over, at which point he will then take care of whatever is supposed to happen, okay? The guns got turned over to a federal firearms dealer that was approved by the court or whatever. However, they didn't all get turned over. A lot of stuff that would be considered probably, let's put it this way, because I don't feel like getting into a huge debate like this in the comment section. So let's put it this way. These weapons all had the capacity to take about 30 rounds of ammunition. Most of them had shoulder stocks. They were long rifles. They were not pistols. And they were semi-automatics. So, you just you rack it once and as many times as you pull the trigger until the bullets run out, right? Those kind of things. These were initial guns, AKs, ARs, things like that. Okay, well, these things got turned over, but the person that turned them over lied on the form. That was like 20 some odd months of my sentence had something to do with that, right? You can't lie to a federal firearms dealer. That's a felony. right? That is a felony, and it's one that they prosecute every single day in this country. You go to prison for that. I mean, no two ways about it. You're going to the feds for that. The list of crimes that were committed with those guns total about 60 years. The question will become who's going to be responsible for what happened, because somebody is going to have to answer for what happened with those guns. I mean, it was just stupid stuff. You know, they went in there and lied on federal forms and signed papers, and something's going to happen with that. And I promise you that I'm going to be trying to keep that, trying to keep everybody here up to speed on what is going on with that. You follow? I will absolutely be trying to keep everybody in the loop. We are calling. Danny's lost his game time for lying to the feds. Yeah, he very, very easily could pick up some amount of time for this. I don't think it would be a grip of it, because the people on the street who took the stuff, him taking those guns and handing them to somebody for them to go and do, because he was on the outs. Now what we got to find out is, I mean, he wasn't in court every day. He wasn't wearing an ankle monitor. Did he take him there himself? Was he part of that trip? There's a lot that will go into the investigation of this, and I'll bet you they're investigating it right now. But at some level, he's on the hook. And at some other level, there are other people that are going to be on the hook as well. But if he picked up 10 years for this, what they would do is he would have a federal sentence and a state sentence. In my experience, the feds always want their time first. So he would get transferred from wherever he is at to a federal facility where he would do a decade. And then as soon as that was over, he would go to California to start his sentence, which would be nice, right? That would add another decade onto there. Kathy, I'm putting this up, everybody. I don't know whether or not this is the truth. Somebody else said this to me in an email last night. I need to research this, everybody. I don't know the answer to this, but I will research that, because number one, I think I can find out, and that would be very interesting to know. So I don't know. This to me is going to be a very interesting run here. The next little bit for the cult of Scientology ought to be very interesting. As with all of the crap going on, there is a large group of people on the planet. I would say that the people on this earth right now that are fascinated by this cult and wanting to see it go down probably outnumber the people who are actually in this cult. I mean, good Lord, hundreds to one, thousands to one. Who knows? I mean, we're seeing people. I'm a little YouTuber, folks, and there are people from all over the world watching me, right? So, and how many SPTV little YouTube creators like me are there just telling people what this place is capable of? And here's a really simple rule, right? Really simple rule. If anything you're doing with anybody says you need to stop talking to anybody else other than this group, run. You hear me? That's never okay. That's never a good thing for any reason, ever. It isn't, right? Unless what they're saying is that group of people hurts children, we avoid them. That group of people that, they do this, or this, we avoid them. Not your family. You need to stop talking to them because they don't believe what we believe. You need to run like hell. You need to run like hell. This is a really interesting question, Martha, and a lot of you have asked me this, right? This is, thank you. My mind went AWOL. That is a beautiful thing to say, man. I bestow upon the vote all of my gratitude for existing. I dig that. Thank you. I love that, man. Martha, this is a question everybody is asking. Could Danny and his family turn in info to the feds on the Church of Scientology to reduce time? Here's where you run into a problem with that, right? Let's say you're in for drugs. You can cut a deal like that with the government. What he is in for has, I don't like the term, but there are victims of that crime, right? There are survivors that had to go through that. You cut a deal to do anything to the church, you're stealing from those. This is a very unusual situation where, I don't know, those people might say, I'd be willing to do that to hurt this cult. I don't know. I have no idea. But the only way that would work, I promise you, was for them to sit down and talk to the Jane Does and say, how do you feel about that? because they would never make that decision. I promise. It's really only done in cases where there are not people who were, especially one-on-one, they were victimized by somebody, because cutting a deal for that and letting that, people get really, really angry about that. There's the really famous deal with Salvatore Gravano with Sammy the Bull, the deal that Sammy the Bull got. Sammy got a really short deal for a lot of people that died, 18 or 19 people that he killed. And he got out of prison after killing that many people. And the victims' families went berserk, justifiably they went berserk. And I happen to really dig the guy. I like his channel. I like his content. I really like what Sammy's done since he got out. I know I'll catch crap for that too, but I like what he's done since he got out. It is an interesting dynamic, a narcissist that has dirt on that church. Here's what I think. I think we could see him do something like that for some reason. I think that I could see him doing that for, you get me a place transferred out of the state of California, right? That kind of deal, as opposed to like getting time off of his sentence. Get me out of California, get me to Butner, right, in the federal system, in a single cell, right, where I'm going to be protected, where he's going to be around real weirdos like himself. Like he could try to cut that kind of a deal. That could happen. I could truthfully see that happening, especially after he gets a dose of what the California prison system is going to be like, of where he's going to be spending the next 30 to 40 years of his life. I could see him wanting to do that. Okay, so you can get a record expunged. Absolutely, you can get a record expunged, especially if there are not felonies on that record. You can get it expunged, right? He had 2 nonviolent felonies. Nonviolent felonies, you can have that record or after a certain period of time. He can file rights to have that sealed and to get his gun rights back. That is a possibility. It is difficult to get done, right? D. Audrey Gore says, Sammy the Bull is on YouTube. See you later. Got a huge channel. You'll love it. He really does. He does good stuff too. I dig his channel. Sorry, but I really do. Rat City Princess Martha says, only 1 violent felony can be expunged. Good to know. I still have it. I still have Sammy the Bull's daughter's autograph. I do have that. Yes. It's 10 degrees centigrade here. So cold, cold, cold. My goodness, Maxine, where are you that it is that cold? Okay, people, but you see where the most important part of this, and it's what I was talking about in my last video on Scientology, is the tide turning. Judges are going, you know what? Screw it. Let's get some discovery on this. That didn't happen in the past. People that probably would have been less likely to take runs at the church because nobody wins taking a run at the church are going to start taking runs at the church. These 5 lawsuits that are going right now, what do you think is going to happen if they decide that arbitration doesn't hold up anymore? What do you think is going to happen to that place if they decide that, nope, if somebody sues, we're going to a jury trial? Oh, boy. I'm telling you. Butner, North Carolina, where Bernie Madoff was. That is correct. Butner has a medical facility and they have a weirdo facility. And the weirdo facility is for people that are usually pornographers, right? The bad kind. And very high profile people, like the person that kidnapped Elizabeth Smart, like those kind of high profile people. Although that guy's custody level would be higher because he was a kidnapper. But I mean, those kind of really high profile people are the people that end up in Butner. But a high profile state inmate would sell their soul to be there. Those guys are probably the safest of any of the weirdos out there. They're still not safe. No one's safe. But he would be safer there than he would be in any other place in America. No, Larry Nassar's custody level is way too high. He will have to go a decade, maybe a decade and a half before he could get sent to Butner because of Butner's custody level. The problem with that is that's never going to happen for Larry Nassar. It's never going to happen, right? Never. And the reason is every time somebody whoops up on him, if that person that punches him goes in and says in his statement, he called me a punk, they're going to write down mutual combat. They don't say a guy got attacked. It's always mutual combat. They always lock both of you down. They always ship both of you off, right? So, and he's been beat up already every single place he's gone. I think that there are 3 yards that he's capable of going to currently in the feds, and they're going to keep rotating them through there until they come up with a different plan. And that's going to be the United States Penitentiary in Indiana, the United States Penitentiary in Florida, one of the Colemans. And I don't remember which one because they switch it, and I don't want to say the wrong one. I get somebody that says to me, my brother's there, that's not a dropout yard. There's a Coleman 1 and 2. They're both penitentiaries. One is a dropout yard. The other is not. The third one is in Tucson. And I think that Tucson has always been a dropout yard, the USP, not the FCI. The FCI was a paradise for convicts until about 10 years ago. 9-10 years ago. Well, you know what? Those who were harmed, if ever there was somebody that thought, I want somebody to go to prison and get justice, Nasser is getting, he lives probably the worst existence on planet Earth. Truthfully and honestly, probably the worst existence on planet Earth. It's like being in a fish tank, right? And being a feeder fish where everything in there is looking at you and wants to hurt you. Do I know where the Winchester Yard is in Tucson? I do not, but I'm guessing it's on Wilmot Road. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's on Wilmot Road, because it seems to me, if my memory serves me right, that there is a lot of prisons on Wilmot Road. You know, yeah, he deserves exactly what he's getting. I'm not feeling bad for the cat at all on that. I promise you. This is what he gets, right? I'm sorry. This is what he gets. He systematically did what he did for a very, very long period of time. And he has a target on his back that will be there until the day he's off this planet. And they're not going to be able to protect him. He is one of those individuals on this earth, like the guy that kidnapped Elizabeth Smart. Those people cannot be protected. No matter where they put them, you would have to have them somewhere where no other inmate could ever get near them or cook for them or do their laundry, because there's always a way, right? And people like that, what else do you have to do? I know that it just sounds like inmates are the most violent people in the world, but they've got nothing else to do, right? And they have no way to affect society. They have no way to do anything. And all of a sudden, somebody drops Larry Nasser into their lap, right? And they're like, I can affect society, right? From in here, I can affect society. I hurt this dude, and the people out there are going to know I hurt this dude. The people out there are going to know that convicts will do to this dude what should happen to him, right? What every guy in America would like to do to this person, the convicts are going to do. We're going to, punch them, kick them, stomp them. You understand the mindset? Like, I'm not justifying it, but can you completely understand the mindset? They got nothing but time on their hands. And in their world, all of a sudden they say, you know what? All right, maybe we're the biggest lowlifes in the world, but we're going to pick 2 or 3 things that we're just not going to allow. And that was one of them. Apparently the Winchester unit is at, there you go, 1000 South Wilmot Road. Okay, so 1000, just further down the road from where I was. Yeah, just further down the road. I know exactly where it is. It would be, address-wise, probably next door, but that could be a mile away. But it's, because I think we were 3 digits off of that. There was a 3 on the end of our number, but it was the same address. Wilmot Road is all prisons. It's sort of built on the outskirts of town. And it's just, I think that section, it's funny because Wilmot runs through the entire city. But when you get way, way out on the outskirts of town, it's just, it's prison yards. And again, what used to be in the feds, it used to be probably, do they really deserve safety in there? I'll be really honest with you. I remember having this conversation once with a prison guard, and the prison guard said, if you want to live a life where you never have to worry about anybody doing this to you in a prison, get arrested for robbing a bank, right? Get arrested for dealing drugs. But don't come to prison for this. There's nobody on earth that doesn't know what happens to those kind of people in prison, right? So while they're doing the things they're doing, somewhere in their mind, they got to know that if they ever get caught, they're going to go to the place that everybody talks about, right? Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't care if they're protected in there. You can hate me for that. And it's probably not very Christian and all of that. But you know what? They're really bad people. They got bad wiring. They're bad people. I'm sorry. Here's what it is. You can love me or hate me for it. We don't consider them criminals, right? Inside, criminals don't consider those people criminals. They consider them monsters. Criminals were trying to get money. You know what I mean? Oh, Texas blonde. I'll tell you something. If there was a place in America other than California where you probably don't want to go to prison for that, Texas would be in the top 5. That's the other states. You do not want that on your jacket. Texas is not a joke. It really isn't. There are some really, really tough convicts that come out of that state. Beaumont, Texas has got federal prison yards at it. And they've been calling it Bloody Beaumont for as long as I've had anything to do with the prison system. He's in Huntsville. Yep. And he ain't on the P farm. He's in the real prison at Huntsville. I know a lot of guys that have gone through that prison too. Do you know that prison fed a product called VitaPro to the inmates until one of the largest lawsuits in history over it took place? And that company, VitaPro, was a division of the company that we were working for out of Canada. And I was sitting at a table with like 6 Texas inmates. And a friend of mine says to me, "What is that symbol on your leg? I swear to God, I've seen that before. I got a tattoo." And I'm like, if you worked in a kitchen, you saw this on every single one of these buckets that came through. And they've probably seen my tattoo 8 million times. And the guy's looking at it and he goes, "I swear to you, bro, I know that tattoo." He's like, "I know that from somewhere." I'm like, "It's the state of Vermont," right? And I start, because the V is literally, this is the same thing, right? And he goes, "Yeah." And then about 2 weeks later, he came back. He goes, "Dude, did you work for that company that sold that stuff?" I said, "No, not like that." Yeah, I did. But they had to stop feeding it to people. They weren't cooking it right. They didn't follow the instructions at all. And there's a chemical in there that you wash off. The idea is you cook this stuff like a paste, and then you put it into a strainer, and you hose off everything except what's left. And it's like a soy meat product or a soy beef product. They're leaving all the stuff in there and serving this stuff like it's dressing, and that's poison. And they fed it to them like that for a long time. And the company did not get in trouble because they didn't follow the instructions that were on every single one of those buckets that went in there. But it was really bad stuff.
That was dodgy.
Yeah, that was dodgy. You slept so late, Becca. Good for you. Yeah, you know what? It's tough. It really is. I'm sorry. I was reading other comments. I don't want to put them up on the board though. Yeah, J9. Sorry for the loss. Sorry for your sister. It's good to know I'm not alone. How about that, people? Is that not a battle cry for the entire holiday season? This is, bar none, the longest run of videos that the Lifeboat has ever done. We have put up more content since Thanksgiving Day than we probably did in the previous 2 months. We have been going live as often as I can come up with something to come on here and talk to you guys about. And we really want to make sure that there is as much connection as we possibly can throughout this season, right? We're going to keep this rolling. I'm not going to lie to you. It is making a difference. This is my 3rd December doing this, right? First one, I didn't have a clue. But in the second one, people were already asking for this and I wasn't giving it to them. And by midway through last December, it was a very different month than it is right now. And it's not because my subject matter is fantastic. It's because you people are getting together during the day more often and talking to one another, and you're connecting. And you know what? There are a lot of other content creators, and I don't care what they're talking about. They do all happen to very often be talking about similar things, but it doesn't matter what. they're talking about. You understand? As long as everybody is coming together, it's connection. Now, ideally, man, we'd all be in the same room, right? Maybe a big buffet table, right? Some hugs all around. This is the best we got in the interim, right? This is absolutely the best we got in the interim. So let's lean on one another. Let's look out and see if there's any names we're not noticing, right? You say, I don't know how to get a hold of that people. Find the comment they left somewhere. Leave a comment under it. There's so many different things that you can do to reach out to people who you just know on the big red button, right? And if you have not gotten over to our page on YouTube, there's nobody there that's not in the lifeboat. You understand? You just can't wander into this. You have to be approved to get into it. And it is just a very small group of people who you're already in chat with. It's a private group, and we don't do politics. We don't do anything there except this. This is what we do. And we keep the same rules, right? No problem saying I'm praying for you. God bless you. I wouldn't be here without God, but we're not trying to convert anybody to what we believe or bust on anybody for what they believe. Simple human kindness kind of stuff, right? The stuff we forgot somewhere around 84, right? 86, something like that. I don't remember when we started going off the rails, but the stuff we no longer remember that used to be really damn basic. Like, guess what? I really don't care who you vote for. We might not agree, but that doesn't mean I have to hate you for it. Holy hell, man. It's truthfully unbelievable what we've become. And this December is restoring my faith in humanity. And maybe it's only 5,000 people of that humanity, but I don't care because it's a start, right? I got 5 new channels that are popping up, 5 new channels that are coming out. There's already 2 good ones. We talk about them all the time. Need to Meeting's great. Go see them over there. You're going to love what they do. If you like this, you're going to love that. Miss Dragon's funny as heck too. Not just stuff like this, but she does great shorts. This is a community, people. You see someone that's part of the SPTV, go check them out. You don't feel obligated. If you don't like what they're doing, pass on it. I'm telling you, Ben Turner, let me tell you something. I have this theory that if one person can go out of their way to show compassion, then it will start a chain reaction of the same. People will never know how far a little kindness can go. Let me tell you something. Last New Year's Eve. Oh, this is going to suck. Yeah, you're right. Is the bottom line. You're right. We, our last New Year's show, Q was on it. Right, his mom called him in so that he could listen to it. What do you think that cat thinks when he gets off the phone? Huh? How far his kindness has gone. South Africa, right? New Zealand, because he took a chance on a white dude. It's the ripple thing I was talking about earlier. You know what I mean? It's pretty heavy. It really is. It's and you got the potential to do it, because if it's this big or it's that big, it still travels. The ripple keeps going. And the crazy thing is they can get faster and slower. Your little thing of kindness can come across somebody that's going to build something 75 times bigger than the lifeboat's gonna. And maybe you were what they needed to hear that day. There have been 25 times that someone sent me an email on a day that I said, I'm never going to do this again. And the email got me back to making the next one. I promise you, it happens all the time. Very often I'll reach out and tell the person that too. I'm sure that some of you have gotten one. I know Tommy Bird did. Tommy Bird got one of the first ones. All right, people, we're going to keep this one a little bit shorter, but we're going to be back today. It's Saturday. We do Saturday Night Boat, which is usually some silliness. And tonight will be no different. Wow. Courage is contagious. Kindness is contagious. I loved it. Talk to a publisher about an interactive book. Yeah, I'm on that. I'll be really honest with you, people. I'm not sure I'm built to the equipment that it takes to write a book, which is a shame. But I'll tell you the story. Stick around. You'll probably hear. All right, everybody. I will see you all in the next one. The cat is perched up in front of the strongest light source at the moment, which is the sun coming in on that side. And he is a very, very happy time. I mean, a happy cat. You know what, Kath? A lot of people still are. So this is for his family, because you know that this is a really, really tough time. And that's for everybody. I got an email from someone that lost a sister this week. Just thoughts and prayers to all of the people on the boat that are going into, they're heading into this holiday and doing it alone. That's rugged. You know what I mean? It's really rugged. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. I'm Captain Tommy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.